Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Operator Hour today. So we have an Etherpad for the Operator Hour where I sent like these to a couple of operators, and we got one response at least. So we could have a couple of topics discussed. The response we got was from Maurice from SAP, and he added a couple of topics for us to discuss if we have the time here. So I think I tried to do like a quick survey as we did in the last time around, and I see we have a couple of indicatives of what Morris has been used and what SAP has been using. So yeah, they are using Xena in NetApp, and there are a couple of features here to that they care much about. So one of them is active. We've heard from Oris that they have been using this for and doing some tests with it for a couple of time already, and also like GHSS true, which is a major thing for SAP, and also share backups in OSC. So share backups, we intend to get moving during this release. And for OSC, that's another topic that we'll cover on Tech That. But we have feature parity, and the next big thing and would be having the deprecation warning in place, because the other piece that was missing was the version auto negotiation, and we got that working as well during the previous cycle. So yeah, so let's. I think we can proceed to the main points or questions if there isn't something you'd like to add. I see Kieran's on the call as well. So hi, Kieran. Glad you're here. And yeah, is there something you guys would like to ask or to add before we move to the questions or pain points topic?
Nope, all good. The only thing I want to say is, I guess we didn't get as much response on this stuff as the previous PTGs, I think, because it was too late, right? We asked in the last minute, or
Yes,
rather, we were
exactly.
asked to schedule this in the last minute.
Yeah, that's the most major thing there. And yeah, I think that need also to be some feedback we need to provide.
We can pass to the folks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can pass it to folks because uh, in the previous PTGs, we had a chance to start advertising this for a couple of weeks, and we were required, or we were asked to be promoting these sessions like very like uh, close to the date of this PTG. So even though like I reached out to a couple of people we know and that have been on this call and participated in the operator hour in the past, even though I did have the time to actually send them an email, I think it was a bit late because I mean it's too close to the date and they need to organize their agenda so they can show up. So yeah, that's one major thing there.
no, makes sense. I mean, it's lessons for our in-person PTG, if anything, I guess, in-person slash virtual that we were planning for June.
Yes. So that's another thing too. Yeah. So if you plan on being on Vancouver and would like to meet us for an operator hour, we're happy to have you there. We do plan to have this session there too in person, and we are trying to make it be something like in person and virtual, because if it is only in person, we don't know how many operators we will get there, but it will be also like good to keep the thing that we have been doing in the past, which is if we are having the PTG or if we're having like the operator hours, whatever, we would do that in person, and we would also connect through a meeting bridge, so other people would be able to join even if they are not in person there. So Yep, that's another point. We will be planning for that, and I think I'll have more details, hopefully with more time to advertise and to ask people about the operator hour this time. But that's in our plans, and I hope to see a lot of you there, and that we can get a chance to have a good operator hour and discuss a few things there too. Okay, I think if there's nothing else, then we can move to the pain points or questions. Um, there are two things here noted with day two operations. One of them is explaining to users why their CIFS shares went into error, and all kind of wrong settings in Active Directory security service, for example, password wrong and AD user missing privileges, DNS IPs not resolving, preferred DC server wrong. So Morris stated and added a couple of more details here, like missing transparency. Most of the times it is enough to find the request ID and look for errors in the logs, but could it be solved with better user messages? And also started reporting one example. So we can take a look at the bug report too. Yeah, so this is kind of an old issue that this has showed up in the past, and I think we have discussed this a couple of times already. But yeah, this is quite tricky to try to represent what was the issue with the share CFS share not being mounted. I think we do though have the chance to set some user messages, right? If I recall correctly.
Yeah, for the password issues, I think the NetApp driver, I remember a patch that they had. So it should probably be, I mean, at least that part should be resolved, user errors. But I don't know whether that, yeah, like he says, I think it doesn't encompass all of the user errors that are possible.
Yes, exactly. Um, so yes, I think there are ways where we can do this, but which kind of details we should be providing though, right? I mean, uh, because if we are talking about like the configurations of an AD, an Active Directory, I don't know how much sense would be like to be adding some of some of that information we have to user messages. Of course, we could limit that to whatever we think it's safe to display to users. But yeah, that's also a question of what should we be displaying there.
Would it make sense if, let's say, I mean, this seems like a CIFS thing, right? So CIFS requires certain things. Would it make sense for I mean, and likely that the driver is validating this stuff, correct? So would it make sense to have the driver, you know, maintainers in this case, like, I mean, with Morris's thing, it would be NetApp, um, go through the NetApp CIFS creation and check well what kind of failures you're surfacing. And if there are failures that you think can be fixed by users, that could be a new user message, and we're probably not doing that today.
Yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, depending on the failure they have, and if it sounds sane to do something like that, because it makes sense to display something to the users that the users will be able to fix. So if there's something that the user wasn't be aware of or anything like that, then it wouldn't make much sense then.
and maybe Felipe or somebody here can, take an AI over there for that.
I believe that I can take a look and see what's happening. It's an old patch I'm not aware of, but I can take a look and see.
Awesome. Thank you, Kai. I guess one other thing I guess we don't do very often is, I mean, we don't surface a lot of user messages from the drivers. And I don't know, I think NetApp had one recently. Uh, yeah, I think they added one recently in the driver. But we should do more of that in case there are user related errors. They should, that is the mechanism we have. We're just not using it all the places. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's saying doing that. I remember one or two occurrences, yes, that have been added to the uh, to to the drivers, where like we would be adding user messages within, and I think that's something that we try to follow in the past, like some sort of uh, unwritten rule or something within the developers, that we would try to make the share manager to do all of the things like related to user message. But if we have the chance to do that in the driver, and we do not have to actually wait until like we get back to the share manager, I think we can just do that, especially in cases like this.
I think this is one that can be enforced with reviews, right? We can try to look at these details while we are reviewing driver's patch.
Yeah, agreed. But I get, yeah, for all the code that's there right now, I think each driver maintainer has to look at it individually and take a look. I'm sure there's lots, right? Like I know there are some even in this FFS driver that we could improve. Like for example, we get an invalid protocol for an access rule. We're not surfacing that up to the end user. We're just setting the access rule to error, and you have no idea why it's an error. But it's something that you could understand if we set a user message instead. That sort of thing. Like I feel like we can go through the drivers individually as maintainers. Take a look.
This is kind of thing that can be backport.
Yeah, you certainly can. We've done user message backports in the past.
Okay.
We're not introducing any new APIs or anything of that sort. We're just adding messages where they might be missing.
Yeah, we can try to add a NetApp task for going to the NetApp driver and trying to catch some scenarios that we can raise user message. This is a good improvement for end users.
Yeah, and solves the problem for operators like Maurice that have to track it down via the logs all the time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, that's great. I think that's a good approach. And looking this like as individual maintainers, it makes like a lot of sense. Um, I know there are occurrences of like NetApp starting to do that. But yes, like trying to get some time to go through those issues sounds like a good investment of time. Okay, that's good. Is there something else you'd like to add to this? Okay, taking silence as no. We can cover the next thing there in the list too, then. So which is investigating shares going to error state. So error deleting for shares created from snapshot. There's a known bug related to this. Is one of the things. Yeah, I think this is assigned to Felipe. In this case, NetApp delete volume with ongoing clone split. There's an issue with this. Yeah, is this like something specifically related to the NetApp driver though? Yeah, it
Looks
seems
like
to
it.
be. Oh yeah, there's one patch related to it. It's open. So this is in progress. It's under merge conflict, and there are a couple of reviews here. Yeah, I think this could address the issue. I don't know if Morris had a chance to take a look at this yet. I think I see some copy of the fix. Oh yeah, he managed to take a look at this.
And I had a comment for Felipe, and I think I mean, it is probably a bigger discussion.
Yeah,
Yep. Do you recall that, Felipe,
yeah.
from the thing?
I think the idea is to change the Manila core. We want to add a new state that can be just internal to the Manila, so the operator don't need to see this state. The operator can see this as a deleting, and we add this state deleting and storage, something like that. And the drivers return to the car, and then the a kind of periodic task on the car would take the shards that are on deleting on storage state and call it, I think, probably a specific key driver interface to finish it, to check if it's finished, right? Because the deletion takes long time, can take a long time. So we add this as, instead of having the waiter on the driver layer, we would add this to the manager, and the manager runs a periodic task to check that, as we do with migration and other tasks. I mean, that's the idea. And yeah, I haven't started yet this new implementation. So probably this patch that I have Carlos showed would change a lot, because this is not the final solution, and we need a core patch and also change the driver. I don't know if yeah, I think, do we need a kind of spec? No, right? It's small change. Or
It feels like a small change, and it's in tune with what we were doing with asynchronous creation as well. And it might end up being more things like this. So this is like an asynchronous delete, right? Technically, you're waiting for something else to happen to delete, so we don't need to wait on the delete call itself. So we just keep that pending state, and we can keep calling delete itself against the driver. So we can keep calling the drivers delete share instance periodically, like you said, and from the share manager. And then whenever it is done, we end up cleaning up whatever it is on the Manila side, the database tables and and quotas and all of that stuff. So it makes sense for like I mean, it's it's not going to be too too major a feature for a spec, in my opinion. And like you said, I think the idea would be to pursue that trait saying, oh, this is getting deleted, but it's at deferred deletion as some sort of an internal Manila state. We don't really need to expose it to the end users.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, I agree. Can work on this as normal patch. We don't need the spec.
Thank you. Yeah, that'll be a huge improvement. I guess there are things that we are doing synchronously with driver calls, which we can punt for stuff like this.
Nice.
Awesome. Okay, so there's another one. We're deleting for passive share replicas, also a known bug. Okay, this one's assigned to Naim. I'm not sure if there's a fix for this yet, but yeah, in the bug report, there's a mention like for JDSS truancy now with the NetApp driver on deleting a replica. There's one error being thrown. And the reason apparently is that the snap mirror show command only shows snap mirrors when the current cluster, where the current cluster is the destination. So yeah, when there's still a replication set up the other way around to the one I'm trying to delete, I get the error because the vserver peering is still in use. Yeah, apparently Morris mentions that the fix seems to be straightforward, that we should use these client methods to get snap mirror destinations instead of get snap mirrors. Yeah, okay. I remember like some more discussion about this, and is there a bug fix for this app already? Because I don't see linked here, but yeah.
I think so. If you remember correctly, Naim proposed a fix. I have idea that he showed to me a fix about this. I don't know if it's only downstream yet or he posted upstream, but I remember he worked on this and proposed the patch, and at least code the patch. I don't know where the patch is. Naim is not here, I think. Yeah, he's on Cinder PTG. But yeah, I think there's a fix, and it's just about of probably adding unit test or commit messaging and the post upstream. I think it's very close to have the patch that fixed this bug.
Awesome. Thank you for the updates. Okay. Yeah. Is there something else you'd like to add, or any questions you'd like to ask like, from the audience, or something you would like to see an enhancement for? Anything else to bring during the session? Okay. All right. If there isn't something else to add, then I think we could wrap it up. I think we covered like the 2 points here that Maurice has added to us. And yeah, it was good to be able to cover this and to get an update. I'll be posting the recordings to the session, so everyone that's watching could take a look at this, or everyone that's missed the session because they couldn't be here, they can just watch the session, and we can get some feedback from them after, or we can bring up more topics like this in the Manila weekly meetings. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the session. If there isn't something else you would like to add. Sure. So I think we can wrap up then and get back 33 minutes to our days. And we will be back tomorrow at 14 UTC to have all of the other topics being discussed, like the topics left. So, yep. If there isn't something else, then I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah, just a question. Like, if I have to ask anything regarding the NetApp, who would be the guy from the NetApp here? Is it Philip?
Can
Yes.
Felipe?
Okay.
You can ask
So,
me or Nick. I think.
yeah. So I have created one pull request. In the NetApp backend, it has missing the support of new REST API. So one of the guy has viewed it, but hasn't replied to the document that I am requesting. So in case you got a chance to look into it.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
This is the
Yeah.
patch.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the patch. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. We can, yeah, you add the client small REST, right? Interface. We need to, yeah, that's an important topic because we need to add a REST job upstream, at least as I think, because we need some, like we need to double the number of devices to run 4 jobs at same execution. So we are thinking of, because we are like off device right now. So we are thinking about add a different pipeline just to run with NetApp specific patches that runs REST jobs. So I think we haven't done yet, but this is our top priority. Probably next week.
Okay.
Top next week we add this, and we can run this job, this REST job against this patch, for instance. So you see this, okay, it's passing on the.
Yeah, so no, that's correct. But like what I'm saying is that I haven't added the code for the REST API because I don't have enough information.
Okay.
So can you just check the comments and kind of reply? Then I can look into and kind of add the respective code to make it kind of complete for the review.
I got your point. Yeah, I think we can open a Launchpad bug for this because the NetApp REST API is still not totally completed. So there is some gaps, and this can be one of them. So I think it's easier if we open a Launchpad bug just to track this, and in parallel we can report this to the REST team, NetApp REST team, and we can merge this patch. So because they can take some time, or they can end up saying that okay, this feature won't be part of the REST, and we can try to convince them that this is important. So it can take some time. I mean, so instead of holding this patch until having the REST version for this feature, we can just, I think that's an idea. We can open a Launchpad saying that this is a gap of REST, I don't know, something like that, just to have a tracker.
Yeah, but okay. In that case, like, can you reply on the bug itself? Because I don't know, like, how we'll be able to track this information, because it's already reviewed by some guy and he's asking the implementation in the REST.
Yeah, I can comment on this. I think it's Luisa.
Okay.
We can move this forward.
Yeah, I just saw it now that Kieran asked something about where he can have access to the REST API response, and that's easy to answer. Actually, I didn't see that he had replied, so I should reply it soon, and hopefully he can develop everything with the link that I'm going to provide. We're just not sure about testing, but anyways, but in less case scenario, maybe we can test it to see if everything is okay, because we have the environment to do it. So I'm just afraid that he's just gonna code and not test. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I think like,
because the thing is, I'm not sure. Do you have access to OnTap selects like on the version 12?
I'm not sure. I had created the account while creating this pull request, but then the link that you had put into was good enough to find out the information, but it is missing the response. So
Yeah, I know. You can code with the response. I did it also when I was doing the translation between REST and Zapi. But the thing is, like, do you have the OnTap to test it on the version that has the REST API and everything?
No, we are using the Xena version 8, so I don't think I'll be able to test it.
Yeah,
efficiently.
that was just my only concern. It's just sometimes like we don't catch bugs unless we test. And yes, Carlos, I believe that's the link.
Okay,
Oh.
so I'm linking it for everyone. I think this is for OnTap 9.6 that I found. I am adding it here. Should it change maybe? Yeah.
I guess I mean, Luisa, I see the point that you're bringing, which is that this stuff, if somebody that's outside of your team is building this, like for instance, Kiran, they'll need a way to test this. And I guess it probably defer to Felipe's previous answer, right? Like you'll have some plans for the CI system at some point. Do you think the CI system can run this and have results up? Maybe probably this is a hard one, right? It has
Yeah, I believe that the case here is that we are going to implement a pipeline that is triggered by you guys in upstream that use our CI, like using REST. So you are be able to run the tests in REST using our lab. It's basically it. I think that we are going to implement it as soon as possible.
Okay.
Just one thing that we know that some features are not covered by Tempest.
Yeah.
So again, like this one, I think Tempest would not test it. I'm not completely sure, but it seems that this one is this one that must be tested manually. In this case, I think we can like.
I see.
Yeah.
No.
So I think we as NetApp that we have our lab with REST, we can test manually and confirm that it works for REST too. We can work it together, you know?
I agree with you, especially because it's a new feature. So
yeah, I didn't thought about that. I didn't think about that.
No, I mean both those things are important. So thanks for bringing up the automated stuff, Kaiki, because I guess what I want to see, for instance, is also regression testing. So yeah, sure, this particular parameter that's being added is not going to be covered with that. but we also want to see that this isn't unintentionally breaking something else in the REST layer. And so far there's I mean, during the reviews we just saw you guys sharing those CI links, but I mean, eventually I think wasn't that your plan to actually have a running CI system at some point that'll do per commit testing like your existing Zappy based CI system?
Yeah, we have the plan. Just what do you think about just running REST with NetApp drivers? I know like if we have like all patches that are post upstream, NetApp side will run against, but we don't want, I think now we can't add 2 new jobs for this pipeline. So we have like 4 jobs. One,
Yeah, I see.
You see, so we need like at
Yep.
least 4 devices. And yeah, I think we don't have this number of devices from now. We are working on increasing the number of devices, but from now we don't have this.
Yeah, you'd have to double your jobs, and yeah, I get that. So maybe you can be a little more creative about it in the sense of, I don't know. I mean, yeah, sure, pick the default that you want, because you already mentioned that REST is going to be the way forward. Maybe that is your default, but then maybe you can have CI triggers that trigger based off the files that are manipulated. And if you are touching any NetApp driver files, I would, I mean, the other on-tap jobs can also be run only for those changes and reporting for those changes. This stuff is possible with Zool. Like if you'd like to know that there's a way to customize based on the files that you're touching and stuff. And maybe that's a way that's this thing, because I can imagine like you can't run a CI system with four jobs all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good cut. Thank you. Yeah.
We try to deliver this as soon as possible.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one thing, sorry guys, Carlos, regarding the link that you posted, I believe there is a more recent one because we're dealing with ONTAP 9.12 and the one that you sent is 9.6. So I think there is a more recent one, but I will comment that as well as soon as possible.
Sure,
Thanks. Just wanted
Yes.
to let you know, Keaton, because sometimes there are things that they have implemented in the later versions, and then maybe the endpoint that you're gonna work with is not there in this link that Carlos posted. But I'll find the right one. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sure. If I remember correctly, if you have access to a cluster and if you hit like the cluster URL and if you hit like /API, it will give you the entire list of APIs it has. And the response examples and the request examples. That's something I kind of remember. I don't know if that's accessible now though. But yes, thank you, Luisa. Okay, is there something else to add to the session? Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining. I'll stop the recording now.